Hello everyone, it's Don back with the next progress report on the War Corsair. Alright, the last you saw I was working on the cowling, and it was all painted up, ready to go, and just had to finish making the cowling extensions to mount it. So I've got that all done. I got it all fitted to the airplane. I was able to, as you can see there, the tailpipes on the muffler have been cut off. I'll zoom in up for you. There's the pieces I cut off. And I was able to trim and grind and get those all nice and neat, put the holes through the bottom of the cowling. So now I'm going to show you, give you the big reveal of what she looks like. Back up here, got to get the suspense going. I managed to put the propeller back on her and the spinner, and this is what we ended up with. I'm tucked way back in here just to get this. So there's the propeller. I just threw the blades in the holder, clamped them down a little bit. Let me come back here from this angle. Again, this is not a wide angle lens on this camera. This is my big Nikon. But that's how she looks. Now, I don't care for this straight line. And then looking at the cowling, you can see that the dark blue is actually down into here some. So what I'll do is I'll take the cowling off and I'll get my touch-up gun, mix up some dark blue, and I'm just going to hit this very edge of this thing all the way around so it looks like it has some overspray on it. So that's all I need to do. Both sides are pretty much the same because you can see the light blue ends right there. So it's about an inch low. So I'll hit that with the touch-up gun. Alright, I've got the door back on. And I may or may not be able to see, but I can reach down in there to the oil fill, easy peasy. And again, the propeller with the spinner on. My friend down in Alabama went to see what this thing looked like with the spinner. I'm tucked clear back here into this little corner by the drill press, trying to get this in a wide angle mode, and it's about as wide angle as she's going to get. Let me come around this side. Here's my fuel drain. It was actually hitting the bottom of the cowl flap inside. It was just pushing up on it. So I need to make a longer one, so I went to the parts store and got a longer piece of tube to make a fresh one. So it'll probably kind of be bent so it'll come out the cowling like this out the back. Right now it comes out the side from this area. So when it's in the airplane, it's mounted like so on the firewall and goes straight down like this. What I might want to try and do is get it so it comes back like that, because it comes up underneath the cowl flaps. So you can see now all the openings there in the cowling for cooling air. Some of that up there could actually be cut open, but I'm not real concerned about it. I've got plenty of area now for cowl vents. I've got bolts in there. Let me get around the other side where I have a little more room. I've got the muffler. I ended up making, let's see if it'll help with a little bit of light here from the flashlight. I was able to mount the muffler, weld a tab on there, drilled and threaded a hole into that plate, because that plate's about 3/4 inch thick. And that's how I'm holding the muffler now, to keep it from moving around. Okay, so let me show you from a bottom view of what the exhaust looks like. They're sticking out about an inch, and I contoured them to match the contour of the cowling, and they are splayed aft just a little bit. Sorry for all the moving around, but don't have a lot of room out here to work. If I have to, I can put a patch of stainless around here, maybe machine a piece to fit up in there. The holes are drilled at a slight angle too, because I had to come straight down through with them. I couldn't come out flat from them, but it looks pretty good. And then there's the big opening on the bottom, and then there's the breather hose for the oil comes out there. But I got some short 3/16 inch aircraft bolts. Right now you can see they're just started. What I ended up figuring out was getting like a gear wrench. Now they didn't have a 3/8, they only had a 10mm at O'Reilly's, and they couldn't even get a 3/8 in this version. And this is kind you got to reverse the wrench to go forward or backwards, you know, tighten or loosey. Problem is this side's nice and flush. This side's a little concaved, and that's the tight side for tightening. So when you get down to the very end of tightening it, the bolt wants to slip, and it's actually a little too big for a 3/8. So I'm just going to take it back, get my money back. And I did find one at Harbor Freight that has a 3/8 on one end and a 1/4 inch on the other, and they're offset, they're angled. And I think they have a little flipper on them to reverse, but it would help with them being in like an angle like this. Or this one you got to hold it pretty much flat to get in there. So, but it's just a little loose, and over time it'll just round off those corners on the head of the bolt. So there's the fuel tank down in position. It's not hooked up, I just threw it on there to let you see what it looks like. I still have to finish sanding that out, throw some paint on it. I may have to throw some paint on some of that just to color it up so you don't see that white. That's the actual insulation for the firewall. Insulation from high temp blankets, probably a ceramic material. So that's where I'm at. Oh, and one other thing I did do is, remember I had this on the vent on the block to seal the vent up, and I wanted to weld something onto it. Well, I ended up pulling out the tube. I just took my air chisel gun with a round little point on it, and I hit it without a few blaps, and it just threw this thing right out. Turns out it's actually stepped. As you can see, there's a slight step on it. This is 20 millimeter for a hose, and then this is like 18 to 19 millimeter. It's smaller. It's very close to 3/4 of an inch, but it's like 760 thousandths. So I was looking for a 3/4 inch galley plug, like a freeze plug. I got out my little kit here and used this one. It goes down to 3/4, and I measured the hole, and it was 760 thou. So it's an odd size. So I don't think a 3/4 inch freeze plug is going to work. So my next option is to get a chunk of aluminum, machine it, and make a plug that I can hammer in there. Now what I did yesterday to see about getting the oil back up into the tank, when I took this off, I got a piece of basically 3/4 inch hose like this, and I plugged it down onto the fitting on there, and I had it stretched out so it came up over here by me with the oil tank. And I took the lid off the tank and I just blew in this hose, and you can blow on it and you can feel the engine pressurize, and then I was able to actually blow all the oil back up into that tank. It only took 20-30 seconds of just on and off with the air pressure, and because I kept hearing a little bit of bloop bloop every now and then, but then when I finally got it all up in there, then you could just hear the straight air going in there. So that worked really good. So my one original thought was, welding this thing up, and then I have a Schrader valve, like a tire Schrader valve, but it has a 1/16 inch pipe thread on the end. And what I wanted to do is weld something onto that, drill it and tap it so I could screw in a tire valve. And then I could just take a little air hose, hook on there, and blow the oil up in there when it sits a long time. Because down at the airport they have an air compressor right there in where I was hangared. So, alright, so everything's done, pretty much done under the cowling. Just have to get that new drain line put in. I'm going to go get a different wrench. The one from Harbor Freight has a bend on the end, on each end, and then I'll be able to get in there. That works okay, but because that one side is a little recessed, it's going to make for hard. If I put a washer under the head of the bolt, it would probably work, but it is a little loose, and I fear it'll probably just eventually round off the corners. So I'll just take it back, and Harbor Freight actually had one in a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch, so. And they were about the same price either way, but I'd rather have it bent. And I can't bend that one because it'll only work in one direction. It's not reversible without flipping the wrench over. So now that that's done, the wing's done, I got the serial cable in and reprogrammed the wideband air fuel sensor, so now it outputs a 0 to 5 volts to go into the computer for the timing. And then when I hook a laptop up to it, I'll be able to data log air fuel ratio, ignition timing, water temp, air temp. Oh, and I did get the water temp. That was the first thing I did yesterday. If you can see it back in there, it's all hooked up, done. I just got to finish wiring in a light for the alternator. That's what kicks the alternator on and off, and that's where we're at. So trying to think if there's anything else I did. Got the muffler all done, cut, fitted, and bolted, so now it won't move. It's all in and torqued down. All the bolts fit around the cowling. They just need tightened up. I just got to re-drill the hole here in order to put the 3 screws back in. This end screw got filled in from the repair work. Same on this side. Just got to come in from the inside and punch a hole through, and then put the little nut plates in there, and then screws and be done, and then just throw some paint on that. So underneath here, it's just a matter of tying up some hoses and wires out of the way. I came out this morning or yesterday and found some puddles down here from antifreeze leaking. A puddle there, and this little puddle here. And it was running down out of here somewhere, down and dripping. You can see it's still damp under there, but something, I mean, it's been running, so this was never apart, so it's leaking from up here somewhere, so it might be running down one of these hoses, because I had this top one out to remake a new fitting up on this side. So it could be the hose isn't tight all the way, or it's heat cycled enough that it's allowing a little bit of coolant to leak down and out, but it stopped today. It's pretty much dry, not dripping anymore. Then I just kind of brushed off some of the dust here, just so you could see how the cowling looks. Wish there was some place I could stand to get you a better image of this thing. Let me see if I can push this back. Yeah, let's close this back down. But that's how it's looking. Still got to round the tips on the props to the old one, but it looks a lot nicer. Outside it'll look even better with get farther back, be able to see those flaps sticking out. And then from the cockpit view, that's kind of what you'll see looking out now. Alright, well, I guess that's going to do her. I will get the other wrench probably tomorrow, finish up that drain line, do something with that. I'm just trying to plug that hole off to where I was trying to find a 3/4 inch freeze plug, but I'm not even sure if that'll fit. It might not be tight enough, so I'll probably have to machine something out of a piece of aluminum or something and pound it in there to seal that up. The exhaust is done, the O2 sensor's all back in, hooked up. I just gotta make the 2 last mounts for the tank right here. I gotta make these 2 straps like the front, and then the tank's ready to go in. I just still have to rehook up the computer, reattach it underneath, and that'll be done. Throw some glue on that broken joint under there on the frame, plywood frame and such. And then the only thing left after this will be getting started on this, get this frame made, finish that up. And then I've got the wingtip lights I can do sometime when I feel like it. There's 2 wires that goes back for the tail light. I'm going to end up pulling them out because I need to put in shielded wiring because it's a strobe light. So I can pull 2 wires out of there and have, 8 or 9 feet of extra wire if I need it for later on. It's small gauge, it's probably around 20 gauge as well. No bigger than 18. Alright, I think that's going to do her. Oh, I did see that Joe put up a new video today, so he's been plugging away on his Corsair as well. He's making progress just like I am. His color looks almost exactly like mine. He mentions epoxy, so I don't know if he ended up buying class code epoxy like I'm using for that dark blue. I see he painted his fin dark blue instead of the light blue, and he did paint some light blue, so it's looking better. It's cleaning up. He's 99% done and 99% left to go. So, alright, I guess that's going to do it now. I'm going to go in and see what the wife's got cooking for dinner and get this thing loaded up tonight for you guys. Alright, as always, appreciate everybody taking the time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns as always. Oh, and then I got them landing gear lights that they're going to be paying to get out of there and resolder all in because there's 4 wires on each bulb. And as always, feel free to leave any comments, and don't be afraid to leave comments. Appreciate the ones that you guys leave now. So, I'll get this thing loaded up tonight and you guys have something to watch, and then by Tuesday I'll have another video and may have a bunch of that done, may have the canopy working on, so who knows. Yeah, it looks like it, for some reason it timed out, must timed out at 15 minutes or something. But anyway, get this loaded for you guys to see tonight. I'll get this put together, and you guys on Tuesday I'll hopefully have another video and have most of this buttoned up. I've only got a handful of things left to finish on this before it's actually able to fly again. Alright everybody, that's going to do her. I will probably see you again on Tuesday, so for now this is Downer Done out.